The CIA has made public some unclassified documents, something like 15 million pages of unclassified documents relating to anything from telekinetic powers to remote viewing. Today in this video we're going to take a look at one specific document that explains how to begin training for remote viewing based on what the CIA has learned. Alright guys, you've probably heard about the latest CIA document dump they've released on their website. All the links that you'll need will be in the comments. But the one specific source of information that we're going to focus on in this video is Project Stargate. And one specific document, a suggested remote viewing training procedure published in 1986 by G. Scott Hubbard. In this document, it outlines basic procedure, step by step, to begin training someone to be an effective remote viewer. Now, this video isn't going to be about trying to defend or prove that remote viewing is real. Let's just assume, for the purposes of this, that it is. And for those of you that are interested in starting up and trying to become a remote viewer, let's move ahead and see what we can learn from what the CIA has done in their research. You need two people. For the CIA training, you need two people to do a remote viewing session. And you need to be in a place where there are no distractions, extremely quiet and dark. And on another note, the person doing the remote viewing and the person doing the recording of the information both need to have a clear state of mind. No distractions outside of the remote viewing session. And another thing is that you shouldn't have to go to the bathroom. You shouldn't be hungry. Those things are a distraction from basically what you're doing is quieting your mind. And we're going to understand what a target is. When you're doing the remote viewing session, the documenter and the remote viewer have to have an agreed upon target to focus on. For the training session, the target is going to be a photo inside of a manila folder or a folder or whatever you have. The target could be a specific person. A target could be a ship somewhere on the ocean. It could be a room in a building anywhere in the world. But you need to determine what the target is. And so for the specifics of this document, they're talking about a photo that's randomly generated through a National Geographic photo generator. But you can just sort of have a friend, tell a friend, you don't need to tell them why, but tell a friend to go and pick a photo of nature online, any photo of nature online, and have it printed, put into a manila folder, and given back to you. And you don't know what it is, you have no clue, except for the fact that it pertains to nature. And that's okay if you know that, because we're just training at this point. Allow yourself at least an hour or two to do this session. You and your partner together, an hour or two to do the session. One person is going to be the remote viewer, and the other person is going to be the recorder. Before you can begin the remote viewing session, you need to understand the symbols, and the symbols are up for interpretation. Take a look at this photo here. This shows, wavy lines, jagged lines, squiggly lines, and they all have a meaning. What I suggest you do is you build a grid, or build a spreadsheet on a piece of paper and write down the words animal, water, mountains, waves, trees, solid surface, and begin a remote viewing training session with a bit of meditation. Meditating is up for interpretation of what you consider meditating. You could lay down, you could sit down, you could focus on your breath. whatever it takes to quiet your mind. And then you take your spreadsheet and you have the recorder say the word tree. After the word tree is said, you have 1 second. This document shows that you have 1 second of data that's going to come through, and you write down what that data is. What is the data? Is it tree a jagged line? Write down the jagged line. Is it tree a word? Write down the word. Whatever that bit of data comes to mind is, write it down. And you do it again for water, you do it again for mountain, you do it again for animal, and then you have sort of a data sheet of information that you can use to compare your notes from your remote viewing session. Now we can begin our remote viewing session. So again, get into a quiet place, a dark place, no distractions, with your friend who is a recorder and you who you are the remote viewer. The remote viewer closes their eyes and the recorder makes it very clear that we are going to focus on a target. And target is the key word. Target is a word that doesn't have specifics to it. It's a very vague word. The meditator is going to close their eyes and begin their meditative process to begin to calm their mind. Allow for some time for this. I don't know how long it takes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Everyone's different. The recorder is going to take the manila folder at this point where the meditator is in a calm state of mind. The recorder takes the manila folder and holds it in front of the closed eyes of the remote viewer. The recorder tells the remote viewer to open their eyes for 1 second and say the word target. The meditator looks at the manila envelope for 1 second, closes their eyes, and then the recorder asks for the meditator to write down or say the first impression that they got, or the first piece of data they got from the second they opened their eyes and looked at the manila folder. This could be anything. It could be a word, it could be a feeling, it could be a picture of a jagged line in their mind. It doesn't matter. Just write it down and record it on a piece of paper. Both the meditator and the recorder do this. Next, allow for 10 to 30 seconds so that the remote viewer's mind can begin to return back to a very slow meditative state. From then on, for the next hour or two, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say the word target. When the word target is said, it triggers the remote viewer's mind to quiet to an excessive rate. If you look at this chart here, this is what they're attempting to show. The word target is said and the mind quiets greatly and allows for a piece of data to pop through into the conscious mind of the remote viewer. And this only lasts a second or less. So the remote viewer, after the word target was said, has 1 second's worth of data that they will speak, they will write down, they will record. It could be a word, it could be a feeling, it could be a squiggly line. Just write it down. And then in between each time you say the word target, please wait 10 to 30 seconds so that the remote viewer can return their mind back to a meditative state. And then the recorder will once again say the word target, and you will get another piece of data. Keep doing this. Do it as many times as you feel comfortable doing within the 1 hour of this session and see what you can get on that piece of paper. In the document here, you can see there examples of the pieces of paper with the pieces of data on them. So you see the squiggly lines, you can see words written off to the side. These are all just little pieces of data that the meditator or the remote viewer and the recorder was jotting down during the session. So take this piece of paper when you're done your session and compare it to your grid or your spreadsheet of symbols and their meaning to the remote viewer's mind, and see if you can draw a clearer picture of what you believe the photo is inside of that envelope. Finally, you can open up the envelope and look inside. From there, keep doing it, practicing within a 2-day range in between sessions allows for a better, more accurate remote viewing session. So as you continue to practice this, you will get more specific and exact as to what the details are through the session. There are plenty of links to hundreds and hundreds of recorded actual remote viewing sessions in the CIA documents, which are very much open for you to read. The link in the bio will take you straight to the Project Stargate data dump. So take a look. I hope it helps. I'll see you on the next one.